It's not much fun being an investment banker today, unless you happen to be André Esteves at BTG Pactual in Brazil. He's getting ready to take his investment bank public, a rare sight these days. And Anthony, you've had a little bit of a look at the eye-watering numbers going on down there.
Yeah, he's done a really good job. Think back 3 years ago, he bought the firm back from UBS for $2.5 billion. They'd owned it for, what, 5, 6 years? Sold it because they basically needed the money.
They needed capital, right?
Well, based on what he's been doing in the last year or so, it now seems to be worth about $15 billion.
$15 billion, which is just
six-fold increase in
3 years. So he's getting, and he's also getting a valuation that is equivalent to what Goldman Sachs got, which was the last big investment bank IPO.
Yeah, if you value these things on their net asset value or their book value, it's worth about, on that, 3 times its book value. Goldman got that, as you said, back in 1999 at the height of the bubble. Only briefly touched that again in 2006, 2007. Right. But you know, those were the great times for Wall Street, right? Back in 99, 2000, Bear Stearns, CEO Jimmy Kane at the time, was saying, "I'm only going to sell my bank if I get 4 times book value." Well, he got what, 2.5 times $4, I think, in the end. But yeah, so.
But I mean, the idea is that I mean, he's got kind of Esteves has a sort of a 2-track thing. He's got investment bank. He's been doing a lot of work down in Brazil. He's also got an investment arm. And you know, in Brazil you can do that sort of thing, whereas here you really can't
very
do
soon
that
won't be
anymore.
able to. No, it's very, the model he's got is very much the old merchant banking model in the UK and the old Goldman and Morgan Stanley model here in the States in the 80s and 90s, which was, if we have a merchant banking arm investing, we can also use that to get investment banking mandates, and it works very well until people say there's too much of a conflict, and along comes.
So he can do things that banks in the U.S. And to a certain extent Europe can't because of the economy. He's got a booming economy. He's got he's got all kinds of fun stuff he can do that other banks can't. But I mean, so he's achieved this valuation through sort of some wheeling and dealing. He's selling stakes in the firm.
I mean, nothing wrong with it, but it's they're relatively closed-end investments, right? So, what was it? Just over a year ago, he got 10 different big multinational investors to stump up.
For about, they sold about 20% of it, right?
Yeah, 20% of the firm, valuing it at $10 billion. Then, just last month, he bought a small brokerage in Chile and paid part of it in stock, which, just from doing some of the numbers, takes up to $15 billion. So it looks good.
But now he's got to go to the public markets, and that's really kind of where we're going to. I mean, we haven't seen any figures yet.
None at all. Just a 2-page indication that he wants to do an IPO. Maybe he needs to do an IPO to keep these investors happy. He's got, J.C. Flowers is invested in,
and a bunch of sovereign wealth funds.
And maybe they want to make sure that their money's worth something.
Right.
And take advantage of the stock market in Brazil while it's doing well. And rivals, admittedly, they've got commercial banking arms, so not the best ones to compare with. They're trading at 2.5 times.
The ones in Brazil, right?
They're trading at 2.5 times.
It's not unreasonable to think he can get 3 times.
It doesn't look bad, but again, getting a stake from investors in the last year and a half versus actually going to the public market are 2 different things.
All right. Well, we're going to keep an eye on this. It's a hot story in investment banking, and we'll be back with more breaking views on Monday.